Hello, everybody, and welcome
Hi.
back to the channel. How are we all doing? How are you, Emma?
All right, I just punched the microphone on the way up, so I'm sure people enjoyed that boof as I did that.
Yes, nice. This is a brand new thing that we started. It's called the Westlands in Conversation with, as you can see from the new logo up in the top corner
Ooh.
over there. This is where we get interesting guests on to come and talk music with us, to tell us a little bit about their story, their background, and their sound. Emma,
Yes.
you've got a thing, first of all, we just want to let people know about because it's a very charitable cause. So let people know, and we'll put links in the description.
Thank you very much. I am indeed strapping on Lycra, which is not pleasant, and I'm doing a 100-mile bike ride from London to Essex and back in name of cancer research, because I've lost a few family members and a lot of my friends have kind of suffered or managed to come out the other side of cancer. So if anybody could send any pennies my way to help my saddle sores and my very tired thighs on the 100-mile bike, I would be very appreciative.
And if anybody wants to apply to be chief cream rubberinera, we are taking
slide into those DMs.
Hey. Next update, we've said this a few times on the channel, but just letting everybody know, there's going to be a link in the description to our new single that is out on the 7th of April. Please go and check that out. A load of you have already pre-saved it, which is bloody awesome. So thank you very much for that. Right, today we've got a guest. We have a guest by the name of Letitia George. Now, Letitia, I first met making a music video. She's gone on to do a bunch of stuff from them. But I would describe Letitia as a vocal powerhouse and presenter. Right, let's get Letitia in here and let's have a chat. Hello, you're right there.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm just chuckling away to myself hearing you introduce me.
Vocal powerhouse is very accurate.
Oh, I was giving it powerhouse earlier in the kitchen. Let me tell you about it. I feel sorry for my next door neighbours because it's like I'm giving a concert to 5,000 people and there's just one person each side. Poor them.
You know what? We were Steve and I recorded a cover at the weekend, and my neighbour must have been sick of hearing it because I went to go and walk my dog about 2 hours afterwards, and I heard her humming along to it.
Oh, bless her. That's a good thing. That is a good thing, because then your neighbour will be like, "Where did I hear that? Let me just go and find it on the internet." Boom, the Westlands.
Yep, that's the one.
Well, the covers actually works. Covers works really well for doing that, so it's something we just started doing. But we're here to talk about music, and we're here to talk about you a little bit as well, and obviously get to know our guests and find out a bit more. Now, you've titled yourself as vocalist and presenter. In which order is that? The order you would put them in, or?
Oh, 100%. I was born a singer, and then I accidentally fell into presenting. It genuinely, that's how it happened. It was a total fluke how I got into presenting.
Before we go into your music then, because we want to talk about that the most, like I said, I know you from when we shot a music video. You was doing some promotional piece that you were doing with a band, which was awesome. And I remember starting that shoot, and I hadn't really ever heard the tracks because the guy who was managing, I think, maybe hadn't sent them to me. So I was hearing it in the room for the first time, and I just remember going, holy shit. Like, you could this one can sing. So when I saw that, I just naturally assumed, right, yeah, she's going to go off and do 40 million shows a year, and that's going to be her. So how the hell did you end up in presenting? How did that happen?
So I ended up on a television show about, it was 2016. And from that, because I'm a Coventry girl, the BBC, CWR, who I work for, they reached out to me and said, "Oh, we'd like to follow your journey of the show." I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." So I would go on to different presenter shows and just be on the panel, really. The first time I ever went in, it was, what's going on the show? Can we get a scoop kind of thing? As I've done in the past with other people that have been on, shows similar to the one I was on. And then I started to become a regular seat on the panel of different shows that I was on. And one day I laughed so hard at what I think may have been my own joke that I slid off the studio chair, literally on the floor, crying with laughter. You could still hear me clear as day on the mic. And I was in bits. I couldn't contain myself. I think we had to go to a song because I was just like constantly, because I've got a contagious laugh. So once I'd gone, everyone was gone. And so what happened from there was I'd done a few more shows, and then they were bringing the evening shows back on local radio. And the editor of Coventry at the time was like, we would love to sort of hear you on a demo because we think you'd be really good for a show. And me, never even had any training or experience in radio, thought, yeah, okay, why not? Right? Because I can chat. So I thought, surely that's what presenters do. We just chat. And so I did this demo, and then a few weeks later, I got a phone call like, yeah, we'd like to offer you a show. And I was like, cool. Now, I know that's not how it works for pretty much anybody. Like, that's not a story that I don't think I've ever heard anybody else have, because most people will come in as a producer, or they'll come in as like a BA, which is a broadcast assistant, or they'll come in on work experience and they'll have to work their way up. I was very lucky that I managed to showcase my personality in a way that it was infectious in a good way. And they liked me, so they gave me a show, and I had 4 weeks where I had to practice and pre-record the shows and things like that, and then we went live.
Wow.
And I did this show, and I just remember, let me tell you, this is how I know that being on stage I was born for, because I had a panic attack minutes before I was to go on air live, first time live on air as a presenter, and I had a massive panic attack. I couldn't breathe. The news was starting, and the news lasted for 3 minutes, so it was like 2 minutes past 7 and about 45 seconds, and I'm still going, right? I'm like, I'm crying and everything. And then we go live. No, it's all right. I still laugh to this day. I wasn't laughing at the time, but do laugh now though. And when the first song was finished, I threw my mic up, and you would never. I remember my boss at the time was like, I've never seen anybody do that before. You would never have known that 30 seconds before I was having an absolute meltdown, because I just pulled the mic up like, hey, it's Letitia George here with you on BBC CWR. Never would have known. And she was like, you were born for this. I was like, okay, cool. And then 6 months later, I won BBC Best Newcomer, which is a really cool award. And I just kind of went from strength to strength there, and I got to travel around. I've been involved in some really great things. Like, I've got to interview some crazy and incredible people, and experience some things that I never would have done if it wasn't for me being in the right place at the right time and getting the show that I had. So that's my radio story, really.
Sometimes that's how you say it happens by accident, but you have to put yourself out there in the first place doing things. You said you did a program and they were following your journey. Do you want to divulge what the program was? Because I mean, there's plenty of footage out there. We've all seen it.
It's not like I can hide it, is it? It's had millions of views.
yeah.
A little TV show.
Yeah.
I think I actually just called it that as well. I think I literally said
a little TV show.
I was on The Voice in 2016.
You may have heard of it.
Yeah, just a little something, I was on The Voice in 2016, and I was on Team Ricky, and that's from there. That I was working a full-time job until I started that show. I worked a full-time job for a year afterwards, and then I was in a situation, and I had a chance where I was put in a situation where I thought, I have to get out of this job because I cannot work for this person anymore. But I was like, I need to earn an income. And it put a fire under my arse, because I thought, I cannot work for this person anymore because of what they'd said to me. And I was like, it's not right. I don't deserve that, and I'm not going to accept it. I walked out of that place on that day. I think it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I walked out of that place, my first gig on the Saturday.
Nice.
Brilliant.
And I was like, I've got to make this work now because it's my bread and butter. I'm now self-employed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that happened. That was a very weird time, because to go from being I find that a lot nowadays, it's sort of when I was first starting out after being on The Voice, most people were doing full-time jobs like a Monday to Friday, but I've always worked in hospitality, so my weekend was a Monday and Tuesday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, most people worked Monday to Friday, and then they could gig on a Friday and a Saturday, and it was more of a hobby. Whereas for me, I was like, no, I want this to be my job.
Yeah.
I want to do this as a career. Are you okay there, babe?
I've got a cat
What just
attacking my leg. Sorry.
Sorry, this happens. We should have said. So we should have said before,
God.
this happens a lot. A lot of people actually only subscribe to our channel for the cat content.
Brilliant.
Reactions to my leg getting massive.
It's usually
Emma
Emma speaking and then getting mauled by exactly more.
I think it's really
Not
interesting.
a cat, really.
Oh yeah, where are you? He's like his name is Ninja, and right now he's hiding in the darkness.
Stealth cat.
I think what you're saying is really interesting, because off the back of a TV show like that, most people would think, oh, so you've done that, so that's it now. You've got a record deal, you've got a record label, and you do music full time. That's the automatic assumption that people make. But for you to say you had a full-time job for a year afterwards.
Do you know what?
God, yeah.
It's quite interesting actually to see someone come off the back of that program and do well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow, Steve!
I tell you why.
True.
It is. I just find it baffling, because most of, like, if I compare to the other big show, we're not on the BBC, so we can say them all. All brands welcome on this show, right? I had some experience I got through a few rounds, because with the X Factor, if anyone doesn't know about X Factor, there's quite a few rounds before you even get to the judges. And I got through a few of the initial bits. And I was about to go into the next bit. And then some people producery type people would like to already trying to change what I was doing. I think I went in there singing a particular style of music that I like, and I was like, that's what I'm sticking with, not changing it. And even before I got past a certain point, it was like, oh, we think you'd be better doing this. Do you know anything by this? Do you know? I'm like, I do, but I'm not gonna. And I just was like, no. And then I checked out immediately, and I was just like, oh, I don't know if I would ever do that again now. Like, because I just find them programs just so hard. I mean, there's a lot of people off the X Factor have been very successful, but I've always found the better singers have always been on The Voice. And yet, for some reason, there doesn't seem to be a name that has come from that program that's gone on to do great things. You know, I wonder why that is. Is there a different structure to that show that just makes it so much harder?
In my humble opinion, and this is only my opinion.
Sorry, has The Voice name moved to ITV, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's no longer on the Beeb, it's on ITV now. But I think I can tell you why people don't succeed as much on The Voice as they do on other shows like X Factor, you know, BGT, things like that. And it's because The Voice is an actual talent show. And that's boring. No, like, I don't know. What I mean is, it's like, when you've got people like Honey G, who, no disrespect, she made it big, but that girl can't sing. When you've got people like Rylan, who are so successful, and I've met Rylan, and he's so lovely, but he knew he couldn't sing. Do you know what I mean?
It was a very impressive performance on his part, the dropping to his knees, and
he's a showman.
Yeah.
He was destined for TV.
Like that, things like that
he was.
Are for entertainment. It's Saturday night entertainment. It doesn't matter if you're terrible or you're mediocre, because only a few solid, because it is a talent contest, a lot of good singers do have to go through, because otherwise you may as well put on, like, I don't know, like You've Been Framed. Do you know what I mean? There's some like a bad comparison. But the thing with The Voice is everybody that went on there can actually really sing, like they have a talent. And that's boring.
It's not good TV, is it?
No, it's not, because I think that's why there's the concept and the jeopardy that it has, in the sense of, like, you're not seen by the judges. Like, they don't see you until they choose to turn around, and then you go head to head with someone who's on your team. Then you go head to head with everybody on your team, and then obviously you go head to head with everybody on everybody's team. And I think the reason why they have that is because, you know, what Britain's Got Talent has got that no other show has is it is a variety show, but the prize isn't actually, I don't feel like the prize is solely about the money. People wanted to perform for the Queen. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And it's a different show with a different style. Like, it's not just singers, which is why 9 times out of 10, there has been incredible singers that have passed. A lot of them have been classical.
Yes.
But it's because of that sort of thing that the Queen would have appreciated, I think, anyway.
Yeah.
But also you'll find things like very obscure acts, the incredible dance acts that you see go on there. You know, remember the guys that did, you know, they did everything behind a sheet, like a curtain thing. And it was just phenomenal. Like, that is talent beyond belief. And it's so different that that's what makes Britain Got Talent stand out.
It's wholesome. It's really wholesome. Having a teenager with a best friend who's a dog doing trapeze acts and stuff. It's wholesome. You don't always get wholesome.
I like the lunatics. It's my favourite bit. I do wonder though, like, you know, when they go on there and then they start and you're thinking, this gotta be a wind up. Like, it's gotta be like, no one's told them that they can sing or they can do this act. Like, you're having us on, like, but some of them, you could see it in their eyes, they are deadly serious. Like, they really wholly believe that they are gonna win this thing. And it's like, like, what?
Have you ever been and seen one of, like, the shows live? Like,
No,
have you ever been
I'd love to though. I'd love to.
Let me give you a giggle, right?
Oh, yes.
So I can't remember whether it might have been X Factor. It could have been Britain's Got Talent, but I think it was the X Factor. Now, a couple of friends of mine and myself we got tickets, and we went to go and watch one of the, you know, when you perform in front of the judges.
Yeah.
And so this woman comes out now, yeah? And obviously there's some, you know, between the acts coming on, there's a compare that obviously you don't see on telly, but they're there, you're there for hours. So they need to keep you entertained in between each act because there's stuff to do, stage parts to move. And, you know, it's television at the end of the day. Anyone that doesn't understand that, I don't understand. So there's a compare, whatever. This woman comes out now and she's like, oh yeah, like, I'm a dancer, I can sing, like, I'm a triple threat kind of thing. So I'm thinking,
they really are.
Okay. She seems so confident that she's either going to be so good, or she's going to be something else, you know, like not of this world, right? Well, I wasn't ready. So she started, right? She started singing, and it was. I don't really have any words to really describe. It was interesting, okay? Like, it wasn't even that it was terrible. It was interesting, and I'll leave it at that. But then there was a dance break in the song. My girl went for it. She was giving it the arm fist. She was giving it all of the butt. She didn't have rhythm, but she was trying. And I had to give her props because she was really trying. And I felt so bad for her because people in the audience were in bits. Like, there was a point where I was kind of like, oh, God, Lord. Like, you know, she was so confident. She genuinely believed that she was going to get through. And I think I think a lot of it comes from, you know, like, you know how they say, like, your parents should just support you anyway, kind of thing. Like, oh, yeah, you're amazing. But, you know, you can't, not everybody can breed winners.
No.
And
no.
I think sometimes in life, especially if you're going to let your child go on telly, don't disrespect them by letting them embarrass themselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, 100%.
For other people's entertainment, it's not cool.
Yeah. Because, you know, at the end of the day, support your children in whatever they want to do as best you can. I remember I had a student who, because I used to teach back in the day, and she couldn't sing. Like, God love her. She couldn't. I could barely get through a warm-up with her trying to stay in tune. And her mum came to me before I started with her, and she'd said, "Oh, look, my daughter wants to sing, but I don't think that she can." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
Oh, and his mum's a
Well,
realist.
yeah. Like this mum was like, the problem is that she wants to be a musician, but she doesn't have it in her. And I was like, how do you mean? Because you might
Just listen.
she might just not be singing. Yeah, she might not be singing the right thing.
Yeah.
It could be that she's singing something that's not for her voice. Like if I sing pop music, I sound terrible. But give me an Aretha tune and I'll slay.
Yeah.
Some songs just aren't made for some people.
Yes.
And I was like, give me 4 weeks with her. If I can't even get her to sing in tune, then I'm not going to take your money. I was like, I'm not going to make you come here week in, week out for you to pay me whatever it is that you're paying me. And there's no change, because I don't believe in that. I don't believe that. I don't think it's right to take someone's money if you know there's never going to be an improvement.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe that made me a bad teacher.
You could have made millions teaching people like that.
I could have,
There's plenty of them out there.
I just believe that it's not the right thing to do.
No, you're
And
right.
if I can't see, if I don't think, maybe there's someone out there that can get her to sing well and in tune, but I clearly is not that person. So I'm not going to take her mum's money and pretend to be that person. And I worked with her solidly for 4 weeks, and I was like, until you sing the warm up in tune, I was like, we cannot move forward. And she was like, why? And I said, because either you're not going to practice at home, and if you don't, we may as well stop now. Like, I was very straight with her in the first lesson. I was like, I've spoken to your mom. She's explained to me that you've tried guitar lessons, you've tried bass, you've tried, loads of different things, but you want to go to music college. But to get in, you need to have some sort of discipline. I was like, if you can't show that to me, I'm not the teacher for you.
And mate, if you can't play bass, any idiot can play bass.
That's
the lowest of the pecking order.
Let's just, Emma said that, not me.
The bassist said that. Okay. The bassist of
the
band said that.
Don't let Wayne Matthews hear you say that.
The actual bassists.
No, go on. Sorry.
She came and we did the first 3 lessons, and before the 4th lesson, I said to her mum, "Look, I'm not seeing any improvement. Is she practicing at home?" And she was like, "I think so." Like, she goes up to her room and stuff, and I can sort of hear her
making noises.
But I don't know whether she's actually practicing or she's just singing along to different songs. And I was like, even if she's just doing that, it's better than nothing, because I've told her to try and practice singing in tune and to know when she's not in tune.
Yeah.
Because she'd sing me a song, and I remember she sang me one song, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I feel terrible, but I'm just telling you the truth of what it was. Like, I'll never obviously name the school it was or who it was.
I think Emma's laughing I think Emma's laughing hysterically as I am, because we are thinking the same thing currently, but we can't say it.
What is that?
We can't say it.
It's an off-air comment that we will definitely explain to you.
We'll tell you later.
Tell me later. But it came to week 4, and I had my lesson, and there was no improvement. Yeah. And I was like, I came to the end of the lesson, and I said to her, I'm just going to have a chat with your mum. And I just said, look, I'm not the teacher for her. I said, I don't know whether it's me, whether it's her. I said, but I can't even get the smallest improvement out of her in 4 weeks. And that's just bare minimum. I was like, I don't know if she's not trying hard enough or whether she is just tone deaf. Now, you'll get some vocal coaches out there that will say, everybody can sing. I can teach anybody to sing. Me personally, I don't believe that's true. And I when I hear teachers that say anybody can sing, I'm like, I'm not trying to breed a group of singers who sing mediocre. If I want to teach someone to sing, I want you to be up there. I want you to be able to go and work in music. Yeah. If you want to sing. And this girl couldn't. And it was sad. I really felt for her, because then obviously it's not that she wasn't allowed to come back the next week, but she didn't come back the next week. And I thought to myself, that's so sad.
Yeah.
But you're breeding the right kind of attitude, because it is the most competitive field I think I've ever worked in. I've worked in quite a few, I've worked in finance. I'm a teacher now. But in terms of musicianship and gigging and singing, it is so competitive and it is cutthroat that if you haven't got it and there's a little voice in the back of your head saying, I can't do this, everyone in the room will tell you.
I think
you're
Emma,
shit.
I think Emma will tell you this as well. Like, I think I'm the opposite end of the scale, where I know that I started singing and writing really, really young, but I was really, really bad at it. I just knew that I really wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
and I knew I could get better at it because I could hold a tune, kind of thing. But it took me a lot of practice. But then there was also a lot of other stuff that I had to learn around it, because I realized no record label was going to sign me and no producers were going to want to produce for me. So I just went away, opened up a massive rabbit hole, and worked like a crazy person, just to learn how to do everything myself. And I've been fortunate to play some huge shows now and played all these things. And then when I started working with Emma was on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where she's got this real natural talent for singing. And I was like, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And she was almost like, a little bit at first, she was like, all right, yeah, I'll go wrong for the ride. And I'm like, I'm telling you, Emma, within 12 months, we're going to be doing this, and this. And she's like, yeah, okay, all right. And she's going along with it. She's going along with it, and she's doing it, and she wants to be part of it. But I know that the way I work, I must annoy the living crap out of the rest of the band and Emma, because I'll be messaging these guys at 3 o'clock in the morning. Bang, just had another idea. We need to get on this tomorrow. Boom, 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 boom. And I don't stop, do I? But I know I have to.
He is relentless.
But I have.
No, I love that.
It's like having two full-time jobs. I teach, and then I have Steve on the side.
Steve's a little side piece.
Yeah.
But I know that
my mum always wanted me to bring a boy home.
I met your mum. She's very nice. But basically, I think what I'm saying is like, some people do need to work at it longer. But one of the things I've worked with a lot of youngsters as well, and I've worked with some that are so talented, and my God, they don't want to do the work. And I've always had that old mentality of, hard work will beat talent when talent doesn't work hard.
So true.
All day long. Right, with nearly half an hour in, believe it or not. But I want to jump onto your music. Let's talk about your music. What I hear your voice, and as two writers, me and Emma immediately were like, "Oh my God, we'd love to work with someone like Letitia and write with someone like Letitia." Because,
please,
yeah, we
nobody.
Oh, we can work. We can definitely make that happen, like 100%. And you're local, I think, maybe to Emma, some potentially. So
where are you?
Leamington Way.
She lives in Leamington.
Coventry.
So we're actually building a little studio at the moment. So you should come down and work with us. But
my neighbours would love to hear you singing.
Yeah, we've not soundproofed the room enough for Letitia's voice yet.
Let's get that first job, Steve.
Oh,
We'll get on that next with soundproofing. But you're like, I have an idea in my head. If I was to write with you, produce with you, and work with, I know in my head what I think what you would sound good at. But because you do a lot of the cover stuff as well. What are you working on right now? First of all, what are you doing at the moment with your music? What's happening?
Well, can I even tell you about that? I don't know. Hold on. I'll tell you about some else first.
Oh, hang on. We might have an exclusive.
I'm working with a guy who, this isn't the exclusive. This is just something, a project that I'm on at the minute. Called Dave Williams. Now, this guy is something else. He's talented. He's a talented producer. He writes great songs, and he's written some songs for me that are, in fact, they're all on Spotify. Go check them out. But he's written some songs for me. They're very sort of, some of them, funnily enough, some of them when they were originally written, they were written for a country singer. Like, I guarantee if you two sang some of the songs that I've sang.
Please Let Me Down Easy. Please Let Me Down Easy.
Yeah.
I was listening to that today and I thought, I bet this is a country tune.
It was originally a country song. And he just not really changed it slightly, but he sort of had it sort of but I created a new vibe for it. When I first sang that, when I heard that song, I fell in love. Like, I was like, this song is a bit
Banging.
of me.
Yeah.
Thank you. And he was like, he heard me sing that song and he was like, okay, I'd like to do another song. And I think we've got about 6 now. And because I don't get to spend, because I have to drive like 3 hours to get to the studio.
Yeah, we know that
But
feeling. We've done that.
it's long, but
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, some of the people like on was that my first track? Can I tell you who the backing vocals are for that song?
Go on.
Al Green's backing vocalist.
Oh.
As I was listening to it, I said, "This is a really interesting mix." I was
No,
having this
you didn't.
conversation with
No,
myself
you
in the car of country music and like soul and Motown.
Oh,
Because
look.
as soon as the brass kicks in, you're like, "This is an old school soul and Motown
Well.
song," but with like the country twang of the guitar over the top.
Funny you say that about the brass kicking in, because guess who plays brass on that song?
Oh, don't! You make me sick. Who is it?
Have you ever heard of a man called Charlie Chalmers?
Yes.
Oh,
Muscle
no.
Shoals Group.
Yes.
I'm going to look this up
Aretha
afterwards.
Franklin's brass section.
Oh,
Charlie
okay.
Chalmers plays the brass on that song.
Ah.
Wow.
Shout out Charlie.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah. Music
When
royalty?
I found that out, it took me about 10 minutes to pick my mouth off the floor. I was like, you're joking, because when I heard the backing track and it just had the music and the backing vocals, I was like, this is heavenly. And Dave was like, you'd never guess who's on it. And I just not long recently told him about my Aretha show. And he was like, well, funny that you say that. Right? And I was like, I died and went to heaven. I was like, this is insane. And another track that I've done, Charlie's also on that as well. I've never met him. Like, don't get it twisted. We're not kikiing it up in the studio.
WhatsApp.
When I go to the studio, just say that.
Yo, Chaz.
Just throw some brass on this track for me, will you?
Just give him a call, like, dude. You know, but when I go to that studio, it's literally just me and Dave, and I'll go and I'll lay down a vocal. And normally, he'll send me the track about 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 or 6 weeks prior, because they try and get it down, put your own spin on it, and then when you get to the studio, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one song that I went in. I'm sure it's on Spotify. I can't remember which one it is, because we did 2 in the one day. And I went in, and the first time I sang it, he was like, "That's it." I was like, "What?" He's like, "That's it." Like that take, the way you've just sang that. He was like, "That was really good. We just need to." He goes, "I just want to get a couple more bits, see if you do anything different, and then we'll throw in some backing, and that's tracked. You don't need to do anything else." Sweet. And it got to a point where I was getting into the studio. So I was driving the 3 hours, getting there, and I was finishing up these songs quite quick because I'd learnt them beforehand. I was getting in, smashing it out after a few goes. So the next time I go down, I've said to him, like, give me like 3 or 4 songs and we'll do an entire day. Because then it makes, not that the journey isn't always worth it, because we create some really good stuff.
Yeah.
But a 6-hour round trip to do one song that I was getting through quite quickly, he was like, "No, I agree. It makes sense. Let's do 3 tunes when you come next time."
Yeah.
So I've been learning them, and I'm really looking forward to recording them, because the demos of the tracks, I think I will make them sound completely different. Awesome. Completely different.
It's good to hear you doing some original stuff, though. That's because that was one of the things I was going to ask. Like, because your voice, to me, although it's brilliant doing, like, obviously the cover stuff and doing those shows, because they're good payers more than anything, and they usually pay quite well. I do think there's something about getting a voice like that and being able to find your voice, because, like you just said, you sing Aretha really good. Do you find, though, and I did, because I did a Bon Jovi tribute for years.
I can see that.
A while back. And I found it really difficult to come out of that style of singing when I went into doing original material. I had to really sort of rein it in and try and find my own voice. And it took me a while, because I'd done cover stuff for so long. I've been in covers bands. I was in classic rock bands and stuff like that. So when I started my own band, and I used to get this thing as well, because I was a big Miles Kennedy fan. where I must have sung to that many of his songs that I just naturally picked up a little bit of his accent when I was singing. And I used to get everyone saying, "Oh, you sound like a cross between Bon Jovi and Miles Kennedy," which was like, I'll take that all day. But I didn't even realize I was doing it. So then when I started putting stuff together with my band and I was writing and putting, because me and Emma, is, both from metal backgrounds, and now somehow we're in a country band.
I'm here for
But it was really difficult to find my own voice. How have you, I mean, you're a vocal coach, but for what you were telling us earlier, so how have you managed that? Because it could be really easy when you start hearing all that music and it reminds you of an Aretha song to just slip back into Aretha. So that style of singing, did you ever imitate, or was you always singing her songs in your own style?
I've never tried to imitate anybody. I don't, unless like even as an Aretha tribute, I was never trying to be Aretha. I was telling her
Right.
story.
Yeah.
So I've never in all my life, I've never sang a song trying to sing like that person. Like
Yeah.
if I'm singing an American singer song, I'm singing it in English. Like I'm not out here trying to be like, oh my God, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be.
You're not allowed to.
Terrible.
You're not allowed to do that with Bon Jovi fans. They
But I can imagine.
They expect you to sing it in the original key, even though he doesn't.
Oh, God,
even though he doesn't. And then he doesn't, and he hasn't done for about 30 years. But anyway, they want you to sing it in the original key, and you've got to sound like him. And I'm just like, oh no, I couldn't do it anymore. It used to be killer. It used to be soul destroying after a while. But no, that's good. Because I found that really hard. So I always wonder when people do tribute acts, whether they manage to transit. I worked with a young girl before, and she was doing like an Ellie Goulding tribute. And when she first came in to do original songs, I was like, "You're doing Ellie." Like, and I think she had the same. So I've come across that quite a few times. So I just wondered whether that was something you found difficult. But if you never did it in the first place, I suppose you were in a bit easier place.
Yeah, because also I only did an Aretha tribute. It pretty much not long after she passed away. Someone approached me and was like, "We've seen you perform."
Have you seen the Aretha?
When I started
have you seen the Aretha movie?
Do you know what?
The
I've
biopic.
never got a chance to see it in the cinema. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
I want to
not
see it. I
seen
need to see it. I know. I'm a terrible fan. I know. Throw me to the wolves. I know.
Oh man, is it Jennifer Hudson? Isn't it?
She's insane. In fact, it was Jay Hood that I was thinking earlier.
Her voice is ridiculous. It's all the little behind the scenes thing that she shows you from The Voice when the band will start playing and she'll just like start singing along. And you think she hasn't warmed up. She's just bang hitting them. Ridiculous.
In that Aretha movie, I tell you what, I didn't realize about Aretha Franklin. It was her background, because she didn't come from like a poor background. She came from like quite well-to-do family.
Her father was a pastor, wasn't he?
Yeah, they knew people, that she used to call Martin Luther King her uncle and all that. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how true.
Recently, got back into listening to a bit of Sam Cooke. I thought, I haven't listened to this since I was a kid. I put it on and thought, oof.
But it was a really interesting.
Yes, it is.
It was a really interesting story. I like watching biopics about artists that I don't particularly know a lot about, although I might know their music. Like I loved the Elvis. I'm not an Elvis fan, but I love the new Elvis biopic that they've just done as well. I love those kind of films when you get to actually see what went on behind everything that's going on, because it's just crazy. We live in a totally different time now.
Who's going to play you in the Westerns biopic, Steve?
Oh God, Shannon Tatum or something like that, probably. I don't know. They're gonna have to be.
Is that right?
Gonna have to be buff, and But, I mean, he's gonna have to hit the gym, obviously. And if you've seen my dance moves, if he ever wants to swap and I'll do Magic Mike for him, like, I mean, My eyes! One of the things I enjoy. one of the things I enjoy doing on stage, or especially in rehearsals, is I have these really very
Inappropriate.
discreet
Inappropriate.
dance moves that I like to just randomly throw into the middle of a set somewhere, just to see if I could really put her off
And he
when
does.
she's like mid-flow.
because we're both standing side by side. All I can see
Yeah.
sometimes, the corner of my eye, is the guitar and his hips thrusting.
Oh
like
Lord.
this. I'm like, oh God,
Oh,
Steve,
Lord.
I'm trying to sing here. I'm gonna be sick. So tell you what though, some of the women folk don't have go wild for it.
Oh yeah. Especially with
Oh my Lord.
especially with our audience, have to be careful in case all the pacemakers start going off.
Oh my God. I cannot even. I can see it now.
We do have an interesting demographic though. Do you know, actually, I don't know whether you find this as well, but we was talking about this recently. Like back in the day, it used to be if you hadn't made it by the time you were 21, 22, 23, you kind of finished already, especially in pop music. But we've found, and I've been saying this for years, because my background as well as music is marketing, so I'm a nerd for statistics.
Nerd.
Yeah.
That is a massive understatement,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Capital underscored.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of the things I've noticed is that for the first time, and I believe this to be true, and I think going forward, it's going to become even more true over the next 10 years, is we are living now in the best decade for anyone 35 upwards to make it in music as a living, because the demographic, well, first of all, we're going to shows now. I did shows when I was in my 20s, and it was hard to get people to come out, spend money, because they haven't got any students, ain't got cash. And especially now, it's even worse. But our audience is a bit more mature, so they're like 40, 50, 60. It seems to be our catchment age group for live performances. Well, we've got a bit of a mixed bag, but it's predominantly those age groups. They're the ones with a disposable income. They're the ones that can go out. They're the ones that can buy your merch. They're the ones that are streaming your buying your music, etc.
Yeah.
And we said, and I've been saying this for a while and trying to convince other people that for the first time in a long time, the tables have turned, and all of a sudden now we've maybe got a better chance than we think. So it's like not to give up, because like we're getting some of the best opportunities we've ever had at this age. You know, we're both, you know, edging towards 40, some faster than others.
Very, very quickly.
Sorry, start that again. How old are you? You said you're edging to 40.
I am 40 in 13 days.
Yeah, and I'm 38 in October.
Yeah.
Why are you two eating and drinking? Because damn.
Yeah.
We're no spring chicken.
My youthful looks.
I need to fix up, man. Jesus.
That's because she ain't had a man in her life. That's pretty.
They are stressful, I won't lie.
Please believe me when I tell you, women are worse.
Oh no, I know that too.
Christ.
But sometimes I think, sometimes I can agree.
Hence why I'm hiding the grey hair. Right. So with your own stuff then. So what's the plan? Are you gonna be obviously releasing, of course, but what as a beat? I'm right in thinking you're not allowed to play your own music on radio. So I think that's a thing with the BBC, isn't it? You're not allowed to do that. But what's the plan for the solo stuff? What do you want to do with it? Where do you want to go with it?
Well, when Dave and I finished this album, because Dave's wife, she does a lot of promoting, so I've been played on other radio stations around the country, and I mean there are some really, like, she goes to a lot of the, how can I explain this without, I don't know how I'm supposed to. So she gets to sit in meetings with like people who create the playlists, certain playlists for certain radio stations.
Yes.
And the likes of like, it sounds like I'm going to name drop, and I'm not. I'm just stating a fact that these people have heard my song. So like Joe Wiley has heard my track.
Yeah.
Trevor
so
Nelson
cool.
has heard my track.
Trevor
And I'm trying to think, like a few other people that are like sort of on that realm have heard my track, but obviously it's not their choice. Like it's not them that get to select it. And I've got like, if I went into my emails, like Sue, God love her, she'll compile all the comments made about my tracks that she gets from people who hear it, and then she emails them to me. And you know, there's always just some of the nicest, like people just say the nicest things.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily their decision to play, like, to choose it for the playlist. It's somebody else. So if they don't decide not to play it, but of course, I'm coming in to a playlist that's full of big names.
Yeah.
So because I haven't gone through the likes of BBC Introducing, I've gone, like Sue's gone straight in with the big guns. So I'm going up against the likes of Lizzo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get into the playlist, it's Lizzo. I'm just little old Letitia. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to get there, but one day I might get there, and one day someone might hear my track and be like, "We need to play that." Do you know what I mean? Like, one day I'm just going to make the right track.
I think
because I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, carry on. I've just got something to put to you afterwards, but carry on.
Okay. Because I don't write, haven't written in years. I used to write when I was very young, like yourself, Steve. I used to write when I was very young, but I think I always just wrote loads of like sad stuff because I was just a sad teenager. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That's us. Yep. We've actually said we challenged ourselves to try and write a happy song about 3 months ago. It still hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened yet.
This is why I think people that write, I think, are so incredibly talented, because I'm thinking to myself, I tried once to write a happy song with my best friend. Side eye. It didn't work. Okay.
It's
Not
hard.
because I'm sad
It's
all the
hard.
time, but it's hard because it's
Into
natural.
like, it turns into a bunch of cliches about I'm on a sunny day and I'm really happy and everything's really great. This is the worst song anyone's ever heard.
We kind of did a happy song with At the Weekend. That was kind of a happy
True.
song.
Yeah, true.
That was kind of happy. That was the one that you played when you interviewed us. The tables half turned.
Oh,
I know. I get so nervous doing things like this because I'm used to being who you are right now.
Yeah.
And
I'm
used to
feeling
being
very
the one
relaxed now, and I was crapping my pants when we were on the radio. So this is quite a nice change of pace.
I was so nervous. Like when Steve messaged and was like, "Oh, do you want to do this?" And I was like, I don't know.
No.
I'm not used to being in the hot seat. I don't know if I like it. But I think I always sort of promote the thing of it's not an interview, it's a conversation. And then I can't even take my own words. You know what I mean? And to get on and do something like this. Like, it's madness.
You said something really interesting about when you get these tracks back with these really positive comments. Because in the past, Steve's put some of our tracks out to people and they'll come back with positive comments. Well, he never shows me the positive comments. I think he knows. So
I would show you the bad ones too.
Don't. Which is why I actively don't go on our social media. I don't want to hear people slagging off my voice. So if you ever looked at any of your socials, you ever looked at the comments that people put, are you very much against that? I'm putting it out. You can listen to it. I don't need to hear your opinion on it.
Listen. Oh my God. So when I was on The Voice, they said to you, don't read the comments of the videos because people can be mean.
Yeah, you got 42 million Simon Cowells.
People, when I tell you that some people are just outright trash and have nothing nice to say, people were like, I remember there was somebody commented on one of my first, that is very obvious. I'm a big girl, right? Very obvious. You know what I mean? I don't wake up in the morning and think I'm a size 10. I'm clearly not. Right? And so, but that doesn't give anybody the right to comment on my video and say she needs to eat a salad. Doesn't give anybody the right to do that. Because I guarantee if you were in front of me, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And people made so many nasty comments. Like one day I was just in my feelings and I went on and read some of the comments, and people are horrible. People can be so mean. And I just thought, why have I put myself in this position? Because people hate me. And then because obviously as well, the way TV is edited, it's not always as it seems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, they need to make it entertaining, don't they? So
exactly. And it's like I can say, for example, like, I've been on the show now, I'm out of that contract, so I can speak very freely about the show. At my blind audition, I was on the stage for 45 minutes. Yet all you saw on telly was about 2.5.
Hi, everybody. That's the end of today's interview. We had to cut the interview a little bit short because Letitia had other arrangement that she needed to attend to. But we are going to be doing this in a second part as there's a lot more to talk about. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. It was very insightful. There was some stuff in there I didn't expect, like the stuff about the voice was pretty interesting, about how long the audition took and how she landed the job at the BBC. So it was really interesting. And I think, like I said, there's loads more we can certainly find out and dive into. What was your takeaways from that, Emma? What did you, as a female vocalist to female vocalist, what stood out for you in the interview?
I think it comes across just how warm a person she is, because Letitia interviewed Steve and I at the end of January. End of January, when the Westlands were the BBC introducing Band of the Month, and so
we got it in.
Steve and I went into the studio in Coventry to get to play one of our songs and to have a chat with her.
Yeah,
and it was a really interesting role reversal that she was so nervous to talk to us about this, whereas when we were on the radio, I was feeling sick.
I was nervous until I turned up and I saw that it was Letitia that was actually interviewing us, because as soon as I realized that, I felt a lot more comfortable because I knew what she was like, and I know that she would make us feel comfortable. So
I think it comes across just how warm she and how much she loves music and talking about music. I think that really comes across.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this podcast in the first place. You know, like, we love talking about music. And there's nothing better than actually speaking to people who are right there in the depths of it, doing it on a day-to-day basis. So that's their job, which is what we all aspire to do.
Yeah,
we'll get there
one day.
One day. Guys, thanks again for watching. As you can see across the bottom, please drop your comments, hit like, subscribe to the channel. We hope this thing's going to be a success. You let us know if you like the format, what we should do better, differently, whatever, just get involved. We are also going to be putting this onto Spotify, so you'll be able to listen to us on Spotify as well. That's going to take a few days for that to happen, so hopefully all of this will be live by Friday.
Thanks very much.
Awesome sauce. Thank you for visiting. We'll be back with another one very soon. Goodbye.
Bye.